Hey, and welcome to this episode of the Smart Leader Sell podcast. I am Jessica Lorimer, sales coach, leadership expert, and all-round consumer of coffee today. I have had many cups of coffee. It is 14:32 in the afternoon, obviously, because 24-hour clock, and I have had 4 cups of coffee. So I'm buzzing. We might whiz through this episode today because I'll be talking at the speed of light, but hopefully not. Today's topic I'm really excited about, but also kind of nervous to share. And that's probably because today's topic means a lot to me. You know, it's something that I genuinely am passionate about. It's something that I genuinely do believe in. And that I do believe we need to open up an honest conversation about. Also, though, something that could potentially stir up a hornet's nest. So, in true controversial Jess fashion, let's start with today's topic, all about why spiritual or woo-woo doesn't mean you have to be poor. There we go. Bomb dropped, like truth bomb time, awkward conversation about to ensue. So I guess I have to preface this with, I want to say a very nice person, but I'm going to go with relatively nice because also I'm British and therefore pretty humble, right? I'm a nice person. Seriously, you know, I love helping people. I get a real kick out of delivering amazing free value to my community. I get a real kick out of them learning new things. I get a real kick out of people getting results, whether they're paying me or whether they're not paying me. I love helping people in the street. You know, I am the person who will carry my elderly neighbours shopping from the car to her 3rd floor apartment. I am the girl who will stop on the street and give money to every single homeless person. I donate a substantial amount of my profit to charity every single month. I'd say I'm okay. Or as humans go, I'm a nice person. However, like many entrepreneurs, I started a business to get myself from being in a corporate job that didn't suit me anymore, that didn't serve my lifestyle or the life that I wanted to have, that didn't serve the illness that I suffer from. And also because I felt like making money didn't have to be done doing something that I wasn't really loving. I really liked it, but I was like, there's got to be something else, right? We've all been there. And then I came into the online space and everyone was talking about how they just want to help people. And I do want to help people. I really do. And I fell into the trap for a little while of saying, I just want to help people. But actually I don't. Okay, controversial point number 2. Because the title was controversial point number 1. I just want to say that in case people think, shit, we've missed most of the podcast. But yeah, controversial point number 2. I also want to make money. And I always have. And the reason for that is not because I'm some mercenary woman who, you know, wants to buy a ton of shoes and handbags and fish. If you've been listening to the latest episodes about our incredibly expensive fish tank. The reason that I want to make money and that I've always wanted to make money is because money affords me a lot of things that otherwise I wouldn't be able to do. Money affords me the ability to donate to charity and change other people's lives. So not entirely altruistic because, you know, it makes me feel good, but also does well for society. Money gives me the ability to reduce stress in the lives of myself and my family and my friends. Money gives me freedom that I wouldn't otherwise have, you know, and running your own business and making money from your own business gives you not only financial freedom in terms of, yes, it's fine that the car broke down because now I can fix it, but also time freedom. You know, I can go on holiday when I want. I can pick up and go to events when I want. I can decide to have a 4-day weekend if I want, and that's fine. As long as I still deliver to my clients, you know, nobody really cares whether I'm at my desk, whether I'm in pajamas, whether I'm, you know, rocking around in Mexico with a decent book and taking calls in between. Nobody cares. And here's the thing. When we look at the online world and when we look at females specifically, so if you're male and you're listening to this right now, this does, I promise, affect you, but it's particularly prevalent in women that are operating in the online space. They say, I just want to help people. And as long as I'm helping people, I don't care about making money. And they almost go into this, I don't want to make money. Now, I've been there and I've said those things, and I want to publicly admit, I don't just want to help people. And I didn't set up my business just purely to help other people. Isn't that awful? Like, isn't that really awful to admit? I set up my business because I wanted to help me. I wanted to create a life that I actually really loved. I wanted to make money, a lot of money, doing something I was really interested in. I wanted to make money to have the best life that I could for me and for my family. And also, I wanted to help people understand that sales didn't have to be sleazy, it didn't have to be gross, and it didn't have to be out of integrity. But to be clear, the order that I just said it in is kind of what mattered to me at the time of setting up my business. I wanted to create something that served my life. I wanted to make money that would help my family. And I did want to help people. So when I was saying to people, yeah, I just want to help people, it was kind of no surprise that at that point, my business really struggled. And I'm very open that the first 3 months of my business after leaving my corporate job were really, really hard, because I kept telling people, I just want to help people. Just want to help people. I just want to help you. And what I didn't say was, I really want to help you. In order to do that, I also have to get paid. Okay. And that's a really blunt way of looking at it. But this is what I want to explore on the podcast today, because as much as I do, and I genuinely do want to help people, that's why I put out the podcast. It's why I feel like I'm justifying now. Does anyone else feel like that? Is anyone else like, Jess, stop justifying? But, I put out the podcast. I give a lot of free value in my Facebook group. I, give value to my email list because I do want to help people. And I don't necessarily want everyone to have to pay me, because some people can't. Some people aren't at a stage in their business where they can afford to pay me. Some people, still need to get to know me and get to know whether I can actually do the job first. That's cool. But also my bank manager, he doesn't really go in for the whole altruistic thing all the time. And, perhaps unfairly, still requests every month that I pay my mortgage and that I pay my bills and I do all the boring human things that we're supposed to do when we hit adulthood. Given that my goals for adulthood looked very, very different to this, I kind of feel like as a teenager, my goals for adulthood were mainly doing what I want, being able to eat what I want when I want, being really cool. Bills didn't really factor, but apparently they're a big deal. And we can't pay them in unicorn dust and gratitude letters. Although I might try that. I might give that a go. Genuinely wasn't being super sarcastic there, because I think there is a time and a place for journaling, for gratitude. There is also a time and a place for making money. And the biggest group that I see affected by this needs to help and desire to help, but lack of funds, is unfortunately the more spiritual, the more woo-woo among us. Okay. And that's not because, I want to preface this, I do not dislike spiritual or woo-woo people. I'm not picking on you. But the reason that it's more difficult and the reason it's more prevalent for people who are spiritual is because sometimes it can be really hard to reconcile those gifts or talents that you have naturally and asking to be paid for them. Right? It can be an uncomfortable conversation. It can make you feel uncomfortable. And I know that a lot of people have this problem with, is it really aligned if I'm charging for it? Is that okay? And there's some awkwardness there. Right now I'm holding the proverbial awkward balloon. Right? If you don't know what that is, go Google it, because you will be doing it all the time. You get addicted. But anyway, I want to dig into why we don't sell. Not necessarily just if you're spiritual, anybody who considers themselves a nice person has probably gone through this. Yes, it's more prevalent if you're spiritual, if you're woo-woo, but if you consider yourself a nice person, which hopefully everybody does, then there are reasons that we find it difficult to sell. And a big part of those reasons are things like your feelings around money. You know, what do you really think about money? Now, I'm somebody who, I don't come from a rich family. Apparently, I speak like I'm very posh. I think, though, that is because as a child, my parents were in the army, and I grew up in Northern Ireland, among many other places, because we were always moving around. And when I actually moved to the UK, nobody could understand me. A, because my English was terrible, and B, because I had this incredibly strong Belfast accent. And if you ever have the joy to meet me at an event or somewhere, and I have been drinking, usually red wine or Guinness, you will hear this Belfast accent. It's incredibly thick and it's incredibly difficult sometimes for people to understand. That may be the accent or it may be the alcohol. I'm not entirely sure. All right, but let's put it down to the accent for now. But anyway, you know, people have always assumed that I must have come from a very well-to-do family because of the way that I speak. And actually it wasn't. My parents were just very sensible and realized that if I couldn't communicate with the world, I was probably going to be a bit stuck. So they got me to have speaking lessons. And, you know, as a result, I now speak like this, unless, as aforementioned, I've had a couple of glasses of vino. And the reality was that my parents weren't well-to-do. They were both in the forces. They didn't really earn lots of money. For some reason, if you're in the army or any of the military services, you get paid less than footballers. I've never really understood that, but conversation for a different day. And so money wasn't really a thing in our house. And I remember when I was growing up, you know, and moving all over the place, and kids were getting like mobile phones, and okay, that was towards the end of my teen years, but you know, kids were getting all these things. They were getting lots of toys for Christmas. They were doing all these things. And don't get me wrong, I did not miss out. Like, my parents were amazing. My mum is just the most phenomenal person I've ever met. But I remember her always saying, we don't have things, but we love you. Right? We don't have things, but we love you. And as I grew up, you know, I was never really fussed by money. I was always very good at saving it. I was always very conservative with it because I always felt like it just disappeared in our house, you know, because it had always gone bills, or, you know, something would break and we'd have to fix it and da-da-da. And so as I grew up, I realized that I'd had this connotation about money and this feeling about money for years and years and years, which was, if you have money, you don't love that person. If you have stuff, material things, you don't love that person as much. Now, it's not a conscious thing. You know, it's not something that I used to think every time my boyfriend bought me flowers. I didn't think, oh, well, he's bought me flowers, so he obviously doesn't love me. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it, saying it? But there was always that connotation there of, if you spend time on material things, you're not spending time on the emotional stuff. And actually, connection and community and relationships, that's the stuff that I thrive on. That's the stuff that I crave. And for me, that is why sales makes sense, because it gives me that, right? It gives me that conscious connection with people. It gives me that ability to build relationships. It gives me the stuff that I need emotionally through the story, through the relationship building. It also gives me money. And I could never really pinpoint how that happened. You know, years ago when I first started out in sales, I could never really pinpoint how it happened. And I was the only person who didn't really care in our company. On the sales floor, everyone would be chasing the magic numbers for commission and things like that. And I'd kind of be like, that didn't light me up. And so it's very difficult actually to manage me as an employee, because everything that everyone else was focused on, money, cars, nice suits, all that kind of stuff, I didn't really care about, because that wasn't the thing that lit me up. It was the emotion, it was the relationship, it was the community aspect that I really wanted. It was, in all honesty, the sheer joy of over-delivering and just doing my job really well. That's what I like. And in some ways, that made me fail quite a lot, because people are constantly on at me to hit these financial targets. And whilst I could do that, being browbeaten about it every 5 minutes doesn't light somebody up to do the best that they can do. They just kind of get a bit sick of hearing, can you make £60,000 this month? Where's the money coming from, right? And I imagine that if you are a nice person, you probably have something similar in your head, which is, I want to make 10K a month, or I want to make 20K a month. But there's this kind of dichotomy about why. Why do I want to make it? Am I making it for me? Which is not altruistic, but also is absolutely fine. And actually is what you should be doing. You should be putting on your own oxygen mask, right? Easier to say than do. Are you doing it because everybody is telling you that 10K a month is the new sexy figure? In which case, don't aim for that. Or do aim for it, but change the reason. Or are you doing it because you are looking at that figure and saying, okay, £10,000 or dollars, whatever currency you work in, equates to me helping 10 people, right? You have to look at it. And if I'm honest, my personal feeling on this has not always been the third option, right? My personal feeling has not always been, if I make $10,000, I'm helping 10 people, or however much your fees are. Sometimes, especially at the start of my business, my feeling was, if I make $10,000, I can pay my mortgage and my bank manager will get off my case. That's okay, right? But you have to look at, what do you actually feel about money? Why do you want it? Or in some cases, why do you not want it? What's stopping you thinking, I want to sell? Because ultimately, not selling comes down to two things, or maybe three, right? Underconfidence. I don't know how to sell. I don't know what to say. It makes me feel uncomfortable, so therefore I don't do it. 2, money. What do I feel about money? Do I feel like having transparent conversations about money is something that I as a woman should be doing, or I as a person should be doing? Is it rude? Is it okay to discuss? Does it make me feel awkward or uncomfortable? And if it does any of those things, then you don't want to sell, because again, the attachment to money makes you uncomfortable, makes you feel gross, icky, sleazy, whatever. And then finally, we have to look at the sales process. How do you identify with selling? And we look at some of those same words. Does it make you feel sleazy? Does it make you feel gross? Does it make you feel good, bad? And again, that can be another reason that we don't sell, because we don't want to be associated with those words. We don't want to be gross. We don't want to be sleazy. We don't want to be slimy. Right? Nobody wants, as a nice person, nobody wants to think, oh God, I'm gross. Oh God, I'm sleazy. Right? Nobody wants to think that. So you have to look at, what are your actual feelings around money? The other thing that you want to be thinking as a nice person is, do we actually talk transparently about our own associations with money? And are we okay with talking transparently about our desire for wealth? Now, I went to a Denise Duffield-Thomas event this year. I was very, very fortunate. Denise is amazing. I really like her. There are lots of things I like about her. Her caftans are one of those things. Her information is gold. But I went to a Denise Duffield-Thomas event this year, and she put on this screen, wealthy women will change the world. And she put it up there and everyone was like, yay! Imagine that times like 100. It's always people like, woo, that's great. And after the event, I remember saying to people, like, do you believe that? Do you really, like, when it came up on the screen, did you really, yes, we were all caught up in the moment, and yes, we're all going, yay! But did you actually believe it? And they were a bit like, nah. And it made me really sad, because her explanation of it was actually very good, and it was very true. As wealthy women, you can have huge impact on the world. You can go out there, you can impact political decisions by supporting the right candidate. You can go out there and donate to charity and change lives. You can go out there and help other women and children, thrive in entrepreneurship. You can help with education. You can change many, many things. Money affords you the ability to change many things. The sad thing was, though, that nobody really talks about it transparently. And so when it comes to selling, we don't want to talk about money. We want to talk about, and we dress it up, right? I see a lot of people, they go, would you like financial freedom? And everyone's like, yeah, woohoo, give me financial freedom, straight in the vein. Perhaps not like that. Maybe not everybody's been to the summer tequila parties that I've been to. But, we dress it up as financial freedom. We dress it up as monetizing our purpose, our mission, our whatever. And I'm guilty of this, right? But then, have you ever been on the discovery call where you say to someone, okay, so what would that number look like for you? How much money do you actually want to make a month? And the person, honestly, like they recoil from the camera. They're like, oh! And it's like you've just asked them to chop off their own pinky, right? They're like, oh God, oh no, I have to now say something. And so they pick anything, right? Either they go, I'm not worried about money, I just want to help people. Okay, standard. Or they go, I want to make 10K a month because everyone wants a 6-figure business. Or they go, I just want to work on this area. I don't really see how money is relevant. Basically anything possible to not actually say, I've worked out my finances or I've looked at my finances and I want to be making X amount per month. Anyone ever had that? I have that. I get that quite a lot on discovery calls where people just don't want to be honest about what they want to make. And that's fine because again, money makes us cringe. Right? In my house, growing up, my mum always, bless her, she used to say, never ask anyone how much they earn. Never ask anyone about money. Like, it was very traditional. Don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, and don't talk about money at the dinner table or just anywhere. And that's kind of how society is. Nobody wants to talk about money. Nobody wants to talk about the reality. And we see this reflected both from our customers and from ourselves in the sales process. Because a lot of people come to me and they say, I'm not confident telling people what my price is. I'm not confident telling people what I charge. How do I have the money conversation without being salesy or talking about money? And unfortunately, you can't really have a money conversation without talking about money. The thing is, you have to change your perception of, am I really okay with making a lot of money? And be honest with yourself, yes or no. For a long time, I was a no. I was not okay with making a lot of money for myself. I worked in a corporate job and I was happy to take people's money to give to the company. I was like, yeah, I'll take all your cash and then some, and I'll give it to my boss and he will give it to his boss. And then eventually I'll get some kind of small payout and that'll be lovely. But when I went into my own business, and I was like, oh God, I have to ask for money for me. Awkward. And it was terrifying. Genuinely terrifying because I was like, oh God, I can't piggyback on the, oh wow, our fees are just really high because it's just the company policy. Or no, this is the rate and I'm not negotiating because these are the values of the company and this is the amazing stuff we're providing. Instead, I was rocking up and I was just being like, oh, here I am, please pay me. And that doesn't make sales because when you are not confident, they are not confident. So you really do have to ask yourself this question, are you actually okay with making a lot of money? And if you are, woohoo, go you. Like you are rocking the process right now. And if you're not, that's also okay, right? It's also okay to say, right now, I'm okay with making some money. I'm okay with making 50,000 a year or 100,000 a year or 150 or whatever. Your dream doesn't have to be 7 figures just because Bob next door is. Okay. But you do have to accept that in order to price your services based on transformation, in order to successfully navigate sales calls, and in order to help your audience in the best way, you need to get okay with talking about money and with accepting payment, right? Now, I did just mention that you have to accept money in order to help your audience. Now, who's thinking, oh God, Jess is turning into those money hungry people that never wants to give free stuff away ever again and only wants to squeeze you out of all your cash? Hopefully not that many of you. That would be really awkward. but I promise you I'm not, okay? The thing is, we have to start thinking responsibly as business owners, what is actually helping our audience, okay? I want you to just think about that for a sec. What is actually helping your audience? Is it burning yourself out, giving away tons of stuff for free, creating tons and tons of free content that they could never ever possibly consume in a lifetime, responding to every single email immediately, every single Facebook private message immediately, every single tag in every single group in every single day immediately? Or is it leading by example, setting a boundary, showing people that the biggest transformation does come when you are invested in yourself and you get to invest time, or you get to invest energy, or you get to invest money, or all three, right? Either way though, people can be helped quite a bit from your free content, right? If your free content is good, which it should be a gold, people can learn a lot from it. They can get a lot from that. They can help themselves to a certain degree from that. If they invest with you, they can get a lot more success, okay? They can get a lot more accountability. They can have a lot more transformation. And actually what you're teaching them is to honor themselves when it comes to money and to be okay with the fact that A, they are worthy of investing in themselves and that it's okay to invest in themselves. And that B, it's also okay for other people to invest in them. And it's also good for them to ask for payment. And it's also good for them to set healthy boundaries around what they're happy to deliver for free and what they are more than happy to accept payment for. And what that does is it stops people getting resentful of their audience. It stops people burning out when they run large free Facebook groups and everyone in there all the time is like, feed me, feed me, feed me, give me information, but never buys anything because the owner is always like, I just want to help people. It helps your clients set healthy boundaries. Okay, it helps them understand that these things are normal. It normalizes sales, it normalizes money, it normalizes the acceptance of that. It also normalizes rejection. There's always going to be one person, whether it's $2, $20, $2,000, that says it's too expensive. Because for them, their problem isn't worth enough right now for them to solve. It's not painful enough right now for them to want to solve, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean that your price is too high. It means that right now, it's not fit. The problem isn't there. It's not big enough. It's not painful enough. Or, genuinely, they don't have the cash. And they will find some way else of helping themselves. And you have to be okay with letting them do that. Because as nice a person as you are, you cannot save the world. You can try, and you can do your best. I feel like some days I'm really trying. I give free value to my community. I give a lot to charity. I am always offering help to my friends and family. And some days I feel like I'm winning the battle. Other days, I feel like I'm giving free value and people aren't listening. They're not implementing or they're not learning. And so it doesn't matter, right? Some days you're just going to find that flip of the coin is, today I feel great and I feel like I'm a superhero and I'm saving the world. Or today, actually, I'm doing all this stuff and people just aren't consuming it. They're not listening. They're not learning. They're not implementing, and it's frustrating. And that will just happen because that is how life is, right? Sometimes we're great, sometimes we're not. But ultimately, as a nice person, nice or spiritual or woo-woo or friendly or approachable does not mean stay poor. It does not mean don't ask for the sale. It does not mean that if you do ask for the sale or you do tell people your prices or you do raise your rates, that you are mean or bitchy or, a typical rich person or a bastard or, lots of other words I hear associated with money, right? Because the thing is, income and impact are not mutually exclusive. You don't have to do one without the other. You don't have to be a money grabber who never helps anyone. you don't equally have to be a giver who never gets paid. Okay. And this is the thing in my business, the tagline, you have to make an income and an impact, is because actually contribution is really important to me. Contribution to our society, contribution to, community values, all that kind of stuff is hugely important to me. Also, though, so is my own freedom. So are the people that I support. So are my team, my family, and the projects that I have going on in the world that make me feel good. Because when I feel good, my audience feels good. And guess what? When my audience feels good, they buy things, they pay me. And that has this knock-on effect, because when they pay me, they admit something. They go, I believe in myself. I'm going to hit that next goal. I'm going to step up to that next level. I'm going to do this huge thing. And you know what that does? Is that stays with them. And they go out and they put out this, I'll say energy, right? I'm not particularly woo-woo, but I'll say energy. They put this energy out into the world that says, I am worth investing in. I am going to bigger places. I have bigger dreams. I am going to change the world. I am going to step out from my comfort zone, and I'm going to do something that maybe scares me, but it's worth it. That's what investing in me does. The other great thing about them investing in me, not that they're paying me, obviously that's great too, but the other great thing is they get results, because suddenly they believe in themselves. They believe, I can do this. I've seen other people work with Jess. They have got results. I can be that person too. And they do. They take action, they implement, they make money, and they feel good, because they're not making money that feels gross. They're making good money with integrity. And that's very, very different. But in order to do that, you have to look at those things. You do have to address your money concerns. How do you really feel about money? How do you feel about asking for money? Why do you really want money or not want money, as the case may be? You have to look at your contributions to society. What are you already doing? Do you already volunteer 3 days a week at a homeless shelter? If you did, would it make you feel better about earning money? I say this to people all the time, I openly volunteer for a homeless shelter. I rock up once a week, I give out soup, and I talk to people who are incredibly interesting and who have incredible life stories. And do you know why? Because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something. And when I feel like I'm actually doing something and I see the people that I can impact with the money that I make, I go out and make more. It's not all completely altruistic. There's a big part of it that is, but it's not all altruistic. I want to save the world. I'll always want to save the world. But sometimes I have to settle for the fact that it needs to start a little bit smaller. And so, you do need to look at what are your current contributions to society, and would increasing those, not necessarily financially, we don't all have money to throw at charities, but would it make you feel good to go and do a week in a school where you teach kids how to read? Would it make you feel good to go and build houses in Cambodia for a month? Would it make you feel good to go down to your local homeless shelter once a week and hand out soup and talk to people and just make them laugh, right? And if it would, do those things. Because sitting behind your laptop and, plugging every Facebook post under the sun is not going to help you make more sales if you are not comfortable to accept the money, right? And this is the thing about sales, and it's not, people will say this differently. There'll be people out there who will tell me that this is an energetic thing, and that's true. There's people who will tell me it's a law of attraction thing, and that's probably also true. In my world, though, it's about having it all when it comes to impact and income. And the only way that I can make the impact that I want to on the world is through making more money. Because the more money I make, the more time freedom I have, the more I can give back financially and in terms of time to my community and to the causes that I support, right? So if you are struggling with making sales right now, and you are a traditional nice person, or you're a spiritual person and you, quote, just want to help people, I want you to think about those things and think about what it really is. Is it that you are confident and happy with your desire for wealth or not? Is it that you really want to contribute to society in a huge way and you feel like you are not currently? Is it that you don't understand the technical how-to of selling, and how to broach the pitch? I would genuinely love to know. This episode is I kind of feel like I'm starting the conversation because I'm tired of seeing people fail. I'm tired of, and that's a really blunt way of putting it. I'm not tired of seeing people fail. I'm tired of watching people set themselves up to fail, right? And setting ourselves up to fail isn't just about, having the right routine. We talked about this in the episode a couple of weeks ago with the hacker. It's not just about having your lucky penny on the table. It's not just about knowing how to handle every objection under the sun. It's also about positioning yourself in the right way and accepting some of the mind stuff that comes along with selling, which is, are you okay making money? Do you want to make a big difference to the world? Are you okay with accepting that you also want money for yourself, that you want this business to work for yourself and for your family just as much as you want to help other people? Let me know. Drop me an email. I genuinely would love to hear your thoughts, because it's one of those things that's been coming to me for a while. And I really do get upset when I watch people say, I just want to help people, because I immediately think the first person you need to help is you. And when you help you, you're going to help everyone else, right? So let me know, what is the problem that you are currently struggling with? Is it how you feel about the money? Is it about your contributions to society? Or is it the technical know-how? I would love to find out, because I want to dig into all three of these in different episodes in a little bit more depth. But I'd love to know which one I should dig into first. So drop me an email, jessica@jessicalorimer.com. Or alternatively, you can join my Facebook group. It is free. I do a bunch of trainings in there. We have a bit of a giggle. And it's called the Smart Leaders Sales Society. All of the S's. You can find it in the show notes, so the link is over there. But pop in either to my inbox or to the Facebook group and just let me know, what is your current biggest issue with selling? As a nice person, is it the money? Is it the contribution to society, or is it the technical know-how? Let me know. I will be doing a follow-up episode on that in a week's time, which will be exciting. Very excited for that. And obviously this Friday, we have a very exciting episode coming with a special guest, deep dive training, all about all things funnel-esque, which I'm very excited about, because that is my jam. So join me on Friday for the live coaching session with an amazing guest. And if you have enjoyed today's episode, hit that subscribe button, make sure you don't miss another episode, and also hit the review button, because reviews really help when it comes to the old iTunes rankings and things like that. And we're trying to get this in as many earbuds as possible. So your review really counts for many, many things, not just my own ego, but also for those rankings, and also for people sharing it and getting it into the earbuds of many, many more listeners. So thank you so much for listening. I will see you on Friday. Have an epic week.